So today we're going to be talking about Wren, the 4-star nature rogue from the Clash of Knights event. Today we're going to be talking about Wren's stats, Wren's special skill, Wren's usability, and an idea of where to put emblems on Wren. What we're not going to be talking about today is whether Wren is a boy or a girl. Bird names like Wren, Robin, or Lark can be used for any gender. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter if Wren is a boy or a girl. What does matter is a good understanding of Wren's special skill. So let's talk about that special skill now. Wren's special skill is called Squire's Squirrel, and it has caused quite a lot of confusion. It is potentially a hit-all skill, but can only be a hit one or a hit many. The special depends on how many opponents are with or without buffs. Simply put, if you target an enemy with no buffs, only one enemy will be hit. If you hit an enemy with a buff and no other enemy has a buff, you will hit 2. That second hit will be random. But ideally, if multiple enemies have buffs, the attack will chain through those enemies and ideally hit all of them if all of your enemies have buffs. So just to fully cover the special skill, let's go over the card. If the target has buffs and is hit, targets another enemy with buffs. So if you target one enemy and that enemy doesn't have buffs, the special does not chain. It's very, very important you understand that part of the special, because Wren's hit 1 as a sniper compared to the other 4-star nature snipers at time of writing is the weakest in the game, other than ORLA when she hits an opponent with more than 50% damage, as she only does a 230% hit. So there may well be times when using Wren as a hit 1 sniper might be justified, but to get full value from Wren's special skill, you want to be seeing all of those squirrels, or at least as many as possible. So make sure you are taking Wren into battles only against opponents that have buffs, and make sure you're firing Wren when those buffs are active. Just for your reference, I've put a table to the right hand side showing where Wren is against the other 4-star snipers in the game. The other thing to note about Wren's special skill is that each consecutive hit reduces in damage, and each enemy can only be hit once. Now let's briefly touch on the damage reduction. As this skill is very similar to the 5-star pirate Finley, we may be able to assume that it is a 20% drop in damage for each consecutive hit. The enemies will have different defenses, and potentially the enemies will have differing defensive buffs. However, I can tell you just by making this video, when I've gone back and screenshotted the damage I have seen, drops as high as 50 to 70% on average between some enemies. Full disclosure, I'd like to go back and work on that more before coming up with an average number. For now, it's best to know that you can only control what you can control, and in this case, you can control who you're hitting first with Wren, which will give you the biggest amount of damage. So in order to maximize the damage from Wren's special skill, we're going to need to look at stats and an idea of where to put emblems on Wren. So fully leveled up without emblems or limit breakers, Wren has an attack power of 675, a defense of 643, and HP of 1281. So when comparing Wren against the other 25 4-star nature heroes on the roster, Wren is 12th out of 25 on attack, 13th out of 25 on defense, and 9th out of 25 on HP. So all in all, a very, very balanced hero, but it is slightly skewed to HP and slightly under indexing on attack power. as Wren has a decent enough defense and a slightly above average HP, we are going to want to go down the attack pathway in order to give more attack power for that special skill, especially as that special skill tails off and reduces as it chains. So yes, I recommend going down the sword path. The sword path would take Wren to 800 attack, 689 on defense, and 1391 on HP. Just to compare sword versus shield, if you go down the shield path, you are going to get 710 on attack. That is only 35 more points added to attack, versus the whopping 125 added by going down the pathway and prioritizing anywhere there are swords. Of course, you may want to go down a more balanced pathway. You can definitely first of all go down the sword path, and if you feel you want to add more defense towards the end, you definitely can. I would always recommend testing the hero at many times down the pathway just to make sure you're optimizing to your playing style. However, it is worth noting that Wren is a rogue class hero. That means unless Wren's talent is blocked, Wren has a pretty decent chance of dodging any special skills, which gives Wren more durability, and is another reason why I recommend going down the full sword pathway. As discussed earlier in the video, in order to get the most value out of Wren, you want to be taking on teams with a lot of buffs. Wren becomes a no-brainer hero for selecting for the 4-star buff booster tournaments. In this tournament, you're most likely taking on heroes that have been chosen for their buff abilities. But I also like Wren in other 4-star tournaments. If you can build a team with Wren that has a hero that gives opponents a positive buff, for example, Wilbur, the Atlantis 4-star hero, gives all enemies shared damage as well as defensive down, but the shared damage buff is indeed a buff which will allow Wren to fire and hit all 5 enemies. This would then combine the defensive down of Wilbur with the attack down of Wren, which would put you in quite a strong position. The other place I like using Wren is on a team that has more attack down skills that stack. So fiend producing heroes are becoming more and more common in the game, some of which already have attack down fiends. We are also seeing attack down stacks appear in the game. So one thing I really enjoy doing is stacking Wren's attack down with attack down from fiends and attack down stack. These attack downs all work together. This leaves your enemies in a position where they can't do any damage to you, or very, very little damage, which puts you in a great position to win the battle. And finally, if you use Wren along with another member of the Raven family, you'll get the Raven family bonus. I like to team Wren up with Franz in order to make some of their cast ailments uncleansable. That's all the time we have. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know what you think of Wren down below. As always, thanks for watching and goodbye.